This is the Healthology Experts, where we talk about the art and science of health and longevity. I'm Dr. Traveler, and thank you for joining us. All right, you guys, we are back this week, and I'm really excited to have our guest. Our guest is the guy that I get to work with all the time. In fact, where we're filming this, his room is right next door, so he's had to be patient with any rumblings that go on in here. It's Dr. Brandon Hatch. He's one of our chiropractors here in the office, and again, here at Healthology Experts, the art and science of health is what I like to call it, especially here on the podcast. And so I talked to Dr. Hatch, said, hey, it's mainly about longevity in life, but that's chiropractic. And the other thing, I just wanted to kind of get to know him a little bit. So that if you ever come into the office, then if I'm busy, he's getting busier. So pretty soon I'm going to be picking up his overflow. But he's been going for a long time, but new to the area. And so, that's basically where we're at. So I guess I'll turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Doc, about you and your family, what brings you here to Southern Utah?
Yeah, so I grew up in Utah, grew up in northern Utah, Salt Lake City, and then graduated from Park City, Utah in the early 90s, went to Dixie State in the early 90s and played football there for a year before going on an LDS mission. And then when I got home, I decided that I wanted to be a chiropractor.
There you go.
Of course, I got the idea. I would like to say it was my own idea, but I got the idea from my dad because my dad's a chiropractor. And I always, looking back on it, I think I always knew that I was going to be a chiropractor, but it didn't really hit me until I was in my early 20s. I experienced a bad ski accident. Fell, gave myself really bad whiplash, concussion, separated my shoulder, and I was able to receive care from my dad because at the time he was practicing in Salt Lake. And within probably 4 to 5 weeks, shoulder pain was gone, neck pain was gone. I had recovered from the concussion that I was suffering from, and
you were converted.
And I had been converted my whole life, but really that was kind of if I had to put a stamp of when I was converted, that was it.
You're like, yeah, I know this is helpful.
Yeah, I know I can help people with this. You know, being the son, of course I thought, well, if my dad can do it, I can do it. You know how that goes.
Of course, yes.
And so that began my chiropractic journey. I went to the University of Western States in Portland, Oregon, where I met my wife, who was at Portland State. And we were married and started a little family while we were in school. Had our first 2 kids there in Portland, Oregon. Nice. And stayed in the Northwest for almost over 20 years practicing there in the state of Oregon. And then COVID came.
Yeah.
And it turned everybody's life kind of upside down. And we decided that it would probably be better if we decided to find a state that more aligned with our personal beliefs. And so, long story short, we chose Utah.
Yeah.
Decided to come home.
You're like, that's where I'm from. And
that makes sense.
You were familiar.
I was familiar. We have our second son was looking to go to college somewhere, and we really didn't want him to go anywhere in the Northwest. So I brought him down here. It was Dixie at the time still, so I can still call it Dixie. and introduced him to the music program, people out there who are top-notch. And he fell in love, and they offered him a music scholarship, and he said, this is where I want to go. So we sold our practice there and followed him down here.
There we go. So you followed your son down. You're
followed him.
Hey, that helps us decide. You got into the music program?
Yeah. Guess we're going back.
That's where we're supposed to be.
That's where we're supposed to be.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. And fortunately, about the time we found a house, which was not easy at the time.
Yeah.
Our realtor knew you.
Yeah.
And Dr. Williams. And she was like, hey, I think these guys are expanding. They're really busy. I saw a Facebook post saying that Dr. Traveler is looking for chiropractors. So that's when I contacted you, and of course you're like one of the coolest guys I know. You were like, yeah, let's do it. Come on in.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, right?
And it's been great having him in here. For those of you who have been able to, I get adjusted by this guy all the time now. He's a phenomenal adjuster, and yeah, we've loved having you in here.
Thank you.
So now again, for podcasts, this is we want to give people some good insight into health, longevity. So we already know you're a great adjuster, great chiropractor. So outside of just getting adjusted, because we know that's going to be very important, is there any aspects of health that you would say, hey, and maybe it is just regular adjustments, but is there anything that stands out to you that you say for your patients, like I've found if you do these things, you'll improve your quality or quantity of life?
Yeah, quality and quantity. Isn't that interesting? It's always changing, my outlook on that. Of course, there's the standard, drink clean water, eat good, nutritious food, the foundations of health,
for
right?
sure.
Get good rest, proper sleep, of course, exercise, but maybe on a little more, like you said, it's a podcast, metaphysical standpoint.
Sure.
Just being happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all know people, or at least I think we all know people, like they are able to not eat very good food. They don't drink very good water. In fact, they drink very little water. They maybe don't get all that much sleep and exercise, but they're really happy. They like their life. They have good relationships with people around them, and they're able to get it. Somehow they're healthier than some of the people I know that do all the other things right.
Yeah.
And you're like, so at the end of the day, I'm like, well, wait. Not that those other things we should just throw them out. No, I'm not saying that. But it does seem, especially since COVID hit, there's a lot of negativity in the ether.
Sure.
People are afraid.
Yeah.
Fear is a bad emotion, and chronic fear is a bad emotion. And so in this period of time, in this dispensation where we happen to be right now, my biggest thing is try and stay positive, try and stay happy, try and stay close to people that help you be happy and help you be a better person. I think, and I know that, like I said, I'm not throwing out the other tenets.
No, I 100% get it, and I agree. I think it's important.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, and let's touch on the fact of the matter is when you do get a good adjustment, you do feel happier.
Sure.
Your brain waves you're able to maybe put some things in perspective. I mean, I know pain, of course, is one of those things that drags a person down, so maybe that's part of it, but you're able to kind of take a deep breath and go, okay, everything's gonna be all right. I feel better. Life's good.
Yeah.
The glass is half full.
No, I really like it.
And so, yeah, just off the top of my mind, that's kind of what I've been kind of trying to bring into my own life.
Yeah.
Is appreciation of being happy.
Joy and happy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that now, I mean, maybe it's just waking up and saying I'm going to be happy and making that choice. Right. Are there any specific things, and we didn't set this up, so I'm listening to him and I'm thinking, is there anything that you, like practices that you do that you're going, if I do this helps me reset, maybe like a meditation or something? I don't know. Is there anything that you could say that you do regularly that helps you do that? Yeah,
well, I mean, like you, physical exercise.
Yeah.
And not just any physical exercise, like hobbies, things that I like to do, things like pickleball, skiing, hiking, beautiful trails. We've got thousands of them here.
Yeah.
How can you not feel better when you're out hiking out there?
And you're thinking consciously, like you're going, I am doing this just
because
to
I want
happy,
to be happy.
because I want to be happy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just because, you know, for a lot of people, exercise is a 4-letter word, you know,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, no, anything but that.
Yeah.
But you're thinking, no, this is like consciously, I'm doing this just to be happy. Whether I get in shape or not,
it's not about that.
that's irrelevant. I
Yeah.
just want those positive, good vibes.
I want the good vibes.
Oh, I like
and I'm
that.
doing something that I like doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I sometimes you get in a rut where you're going to the gym and you're doing it, and you do feel better when you're done with it, and you're glad you did it, but sometimes it doesn't bring you all that much joy.
No, yeah,
So
yeah.
you take time to enjoy some of the hobbies in your life.
I like it. Take a step back and ask yourself,
Yeah.
do I like what I'm about to do?
Do I like it?
No, I like that. No,
Yeah.
That's great. Cool. Well, I like it. Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Any parting thoughts as we kind of go? Any other plugs or anything? If you call the office, if you want to get in with Dr. Hatch, he does a great job. Would you? Why don't you talk a little bit about maybe specific techniques that you like using, and maybe use common. Not all of us know like what diversified is or something, but
Right.
maybe describe a little bit about an adjustment in your office. What does that look like?
Well, yeah, chiropractors, we all do things unique, and sometimes that's a criticism, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's not a criticism.
I always say I defy someone to find 2 chiropractors that do everything the same.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to find 2
You're
of them.
not going to find them. Like I had mentioned, my dad's a chiropractor. My younger brother is a chiropractor, and so we both, my brother and I, were trained basically by my dad.
Yeah.
And if you were to put us in the same room with the same patient, we would still do things very different.
Different, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It's so crazy. Like I always said this with my friends, and like Dr. Williams, you know, we had the same training, same education, and yet you'll get 2 completely different experiences.
Yep.
Both positives, you know, patients
Yeah.
will say, but it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's us. I mean, I think chiropractic is, again, it's an art and a science. And that's why I say healthology is the art and science of health, and chiropractic is kind of right along those same lines. That's why we do it. So, you know, an artist is never, even if he tries to paint the same thing 2 times in a row, it's different, and the energy of the patient in front of you, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it's because possibly one big component is that patient is never the same.
Yeah.
Even from one second to the other. We're a whole different body of cells. Every 4 months.
Yeah.
We're all of the cells that we had originally were dead, and we're new. So, I mean, when you apply that to the metaphysical, even walking in this room and walking out of this room, I will be a different person
Yeah,
than when
we're
I
different.
walked in. So I think that's part of it. One, the patient is not the same patient that they were a day before. The other being, I think that each of us, especially after doing it for a while, you start to develop a sense of listening to yourself.
Yeah.
And going, oh, well, why did that just pop into my head to check this or ask them that, or, you know, position them this way instead of that way when I don't usually do it that way, or why did I just notice that they weren't able to turn their head, you know? So I what I'm getting at is I think that healing is divine,
Yeah.
and because it's divine, the source of that wants it to be expressed. So I think that most people do walk around with harboring some sort of energy blockage. I know I do, or pain in some facet, whether it be internally, externally, emotionally, spiritually. And so I think that as like you said, healers and trying to balance the art and science of healing, we're all going to express that differently.
Yeah.
And so I do too. And one of the things that I try to be cognizant of, and I know you do too, is that everybody is not the same. So you can't treat every single patient the same.
Yeah.
Now I may go through a technique to make sure that I'm thorough.
There's protocols.
Yes. Just to make sure I'm not overlooking something. But at the same time, I try not to to treat every single person the same.
Sure.
So what I like to do is start with a lighter force technique to help me kind of narrow down where the subluxation is, or the energy blockage, or the pain source, and then gradually introduce more force until I'm satisfied, or the patient is satisfied, that that was enough force to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And so I like to start with an activator, a little tapper, and then I like to go to, like, we both use a pro adjuster,
Yeah.
and use that and introduce a little more force, and then I like to check, and then if those two lighter force techniques haven't fixed the subluxation of the problem, then I like to do what would be considered, traditional standard chiropractic adjustments, where you feel the bone move, you hear a pop.
A little more pop and crack.
Yeah, it's a little bit more physical, but sometimes it needs to be that too.
Sure.
And so, that's where I'm coming from. And so, because that's how I like to be treated.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're my chiropractor.
Yeah.
And I've noticed you do the same thing, only with your own signature.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like it. That's why I say what he described is the experience, and I like that. And I knew all chiropractors, we do it different, but it's kind of fun to discuss it and have that, like, say it out loud and say, wow, why is that?
Yeah.
Everybody does it different. It's the critique, because what's hard is that, you moved to a different town and you loved your chiropractor, and now you're like, hey, you use the same technique, and that kind of means nothing, right? Because it's like, you're not going to get the same experience. You almost need it. I always say, like, with our patient, it rings true. Like, there's a vibration between patients, and sometimes a patient walks in and you're going, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't it nice to get to a point in your career where you can go, yeah, maybe it's not going to work.
Yeah. And you can refer them, or
and you can say, well, maybe not me, but maybe the massage therapist, or maybe you need to get some acupuncture from Dr. Traveler.
Yeah.
Or as we both know, Dr. Williams, he looks at things with his own unique perspective. Yep. Or maybe we need to refer you out to a neurologist or what have you. But it is nice to get to a point in your career where you can go, okay, maybe not. Maybe we need to do something different.
Yeah, I like that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that he would take time out of his day, and he's always willing. I shot the text to him yesterday and just said, hey, you want to sit down? And he made the time, so I appreciate it. Appreciate having him in the office and all that you do.
Feelings mutual. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, you guys. It's Dr. Traveler, Dr. Hatch, and we're signing out. See you guys.
Goodbye.
All right, thanks for listening today. Hey, if you could please go on, subscribe, make a comment, go on to all the other social media. Go on to Facebook, Instagram, go on to TikTok, search for Healthology Experts. It really helps us to grow and push this message. And if you gain value from this, then go on and please participate. We try to get to all of the questions or anything that you have, any responses or comments. So go, subscribe, do all the stuff that helps us. All right, guys, see ya.